Hi, it's Friday, and Scream is just beside himself. Look at the mess in this place. I have things all over the place. Someone's supposed to come and pick up a piece of furniture tomorrow. Salvation Army's supposed to come tomorrow. But let me show you the mess. See the mess? Hey, maybe I'll keep it this way. I'll call it, how are you decorating your house? Oh, early chaos. Hi everybody, I've been trying to make this video for the last hour and things just keep going wrong. I don't know. I've been tagged by Crystal, the yarny chicken and crazy cat lady, about 10 questions and 10 non-yarny facts about me. So let's see if this works now. Okay, it's questions about knitting, crocheting, when I started. I learned when I was 8 years old, both crocheting and knitting. My mother taught me how to knit, her friend taught me how to crochet. And I think my mother realized she had a little crafty girl on her hand. You know, I always painted, I always did a lot of crafty stuff. A bit artistic, I played piano. So I learned how to knit and crochet and never regretted it. It helps me calm down. Plus I like to make things. So, what's the first thing I made? I think I made scarves. I don't remember. It's been so long. I mean, 8 years old. It's 60 years ago. I still have a lot to learn. I'm always learning. I really didn't know much about yarn or anything until I started going to groups. I usually just used Red Heart yarn. So it's been an education, that's for sure. And now I hardly ever use Red Heart yarn. Well, they have a lot of good yarn now. They really have developed. I remember it was just the same old Super Saver or whatever that yarn was, but it came in a lot of colors. I've used it for a lot of things, so it wasn't that bad. I have kind of a fondness for Red Heart yarn. Brings back good memories, lots of years of using it. Everybody got granny square Afghans, that's for sure. And sweaters. I've always made sweaters. But last thing I made, crocheted, I think was washcloth and a towel, and I knitted a top, which I showed. I'm knitting another top with odd pieces of yarn. And I am crocheting a rectangular granny stitch blanket. What would I like to learn? I would like to learn German short rows. I took a class in brioche. I'd like to get back into that. And also interlock. And I think the thing what was the question? Something, what's your worst frogging experience? I was doing the Papillon shawl. It took me the longest time to get going. I kept ripping it out. Finally got it going, and it wasn't as hard as I thought. A lot of counting though. I can't show you that because it's packed away. Turned out quite well. I'm not a big shawl wearer though. I have a friend, all she makes is shawls. I'd rather have a sweater or vest, something like that, than a shawl. But I've made my share of shawls. And what project have you been most proud of? This is it. This I made for my girlfriend. I have friends of all ages. If she's pregnant with her daughter, I made her this blanket. I'll try to show a link. It's a Lionbrand pattern. And I did not use the yarn they call for. They call for Heartland Homespun. I used different yarns, like for the lamb. I used the fuzzy white yarn. For the duck. I have fluorescent yellow. I went on the Lionbrand site. They don't have this listed anymore, and I think I found Love Crafts. I'll try to remember to link that. But it's called Animal Talk Throw, and it's pattern number L32277. So I think that was one of the proudest I've been, plus my Papillon. Years ago, I made an Aran knit sweater with all the Irish knit. And I told a story how my cat got hold of it and had her babies on it. I guess the cat liked the sweater too, or it was a vest. Not a sweater, it was a vest. So, anyway, I have difficulty. Well, I shouldn't say anything because there's people out there that have disabilities and they have no problems knitting, crocheting. They make the most out of it. But I lost part of a finger when I was 19. I was working in the factory, working my way through college. My father did not believe in supporting his kids' education. Well, I shouldn't say that. He was going to pay for it as long as I went to be a teacher. When I decided I didn't want to do that, it stopped. I went to a state college. That's a whole long story. I don't want to get into it. There's a lot of things I could have done differently back then, but it just didn't happen that way. So I was working in the factory, working my way through school, still going to school. I went to school during the day, worked at night. Yeah, I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I have to laugh when people think that about me. I was like, oh, if you only knew. So I lost part of my finger. I've had several operations on my hand. I had a skin graft. The thing is, I lost a lot of, the nerves haven't been the same, and I don't have the strength I used to. But I used to be ambidextrous. So that was a learning experience because there's certain things I did not just do with my right hand. My right hand now is my most dominant, but I used to bowl with my left hand. I used to do a lot of things with my left hand, and I had to learn to adjust. So there's certain things I can't do, like certain cast-ons. I can't do a long tail cast-on because it won't hold. You usually hold on these two fingers. Well, I don't have. I don't even have a fingernail on that. When I used to get my nails done, I used to say, do I get a discount because I only have 9 fingernails? Well, that didn't go over very well. and I don't do tutorials for that reason, because some people, this would bother some people looking at this, because I hold my yarn a little differently. I don't hold it in certain ways because I can't wrap the yarn around my fingers. Anyway, I cope with it, but my tension's not always on, not always correct, because I don't have the strength in my hands I used to, especially my left hand. But that's why I'm gonna have to do a video with me trying to do some of these cast-ons. It's a riot because the yarn doesn't stay. It just whoop. You have to laugh at it. You just have to. I mean, when you look back at life, life's crazy. So, it's the story with my knitting and crocheting. I'm lucky I can use my hands. I play piano. I do a lot of things. There's certain things I have to be careful of because, like I said, I've lost some of the strength in this hand. The happiest day of my life, now these are non-yarny things about me, besides the finger. The happiest day of my life was the day my son was born. I had several miscarriages, and I was just so happy I could carry him to term. an emergency C-section because the little bugger decided to wrap himself up in that umbilical cord. He was always a mover. That's why I had him in sports at a young age, just to get to use some of that extra energy he had. So everything worked out all right. I had difficulties. I was a week in the hospital, but that was 42 years ago. They probably kicked me out the next, well now it's a C-section. They wouldn't kick me out the next day. They might kick me out the day after that. I'm glad I had him when I did, because I needed that week in the hospital just to recover. So, never had any more after that. Unfortunately, people, people should watch what they say to people. It's not just me. Oh, because I had a hard time getting pregnant, and some people would say, "Don't you like kids?" I can laugh at that now. It wasn't funny at the time. My one girlfriend, I didn't know she had issues, and she wound up adopting her children. And I was one of the only people she told, because she said, "You never asked me that question. She said, "You never asked me, why aren't you having children, or what's wrong with you?" I said, "No, because it was done to me." I would never do that. You don't know what people are going through. So I almost adopted. And I had a connection, but it was like that funny story, when you're ready to adopt, you find out you're pregnant. That's what happened to me. So I had my son, and that was the happiest day of my life. I've always been independent. I find it very hard to depend on other people. I was the oldest in my family. My mother had me when she was 35. She had the same issue. She was told she could never have any kids. She married my father on March the 8th. I was born 10 months later. And she had 2 after me. But she was 35 when she had me. She was almost 40 when she had my sister. And my brother was born in between. She always told me, don't listen to the doctors. They don't know what they're talking about. So, but she always expected a lot out of me. In fact, I never understood why they used to think that I knew everything. I wasn't even taught how to cook. I had to learn that on my own. My mother was sick a lot. I had to take care of things and expected to cook. How I was supposed to know how to cook. I learned though, and I think that's why I love libraries. I really would have loved YouTube back then, but I got by. I'm not fond of cooking. Maybe because I've always been expected to cook from the time I was little. Well, 10 years old, yeah. I used to cook, do all the grocery shopping. I still don't like grocery shopping to this day. Yeah, I used to go to this one store, and the manager of the store knew what I was, pretty much knew the family situation. So, my mother used to make a list. I used to go to him, and he'd help me out. They had delivery back then, so I'd bring home the perishables, and the others would be delivered later. But that's the first stop I would do, was go into the store and see this gentleman. And he'd help me get everything. And that's one time I brought home margarine. That was a no-no. My mother hated margarine. It reminded her of the war, she said. So, I don't like margarine either, but that's when I learned you don't buy margarine. At least not in my mother's house. So, I survived. You do. You almost have to laugh at it sometimes. I still can't get over how they expected me to know all this stuff. No. But I've always had a weight problem. People look at me and say, you don't have a weight problem. Well, I started really gaining weight when I was 10, 11 years old. So I've always had to watch my weight. I've always exercised a lot. I don't mind exercising. It makes me feel good. I do yoga. It helps my back. And I've always done a lot of walking. I could walk for miles. My mother found out she had emphysema when I was 15. And that's why I never smoked. I don't like smoking. I understand it's quite the addiction because she never quit. She never quit. Even when we had oxygen in the house, we had to keep it in the other room because she would still light up her cigarette. She never completely quit. And I have a fear of not being able to breathe. I don't like smoking, you know. I'm a bit claustrophobic. I'm really not afraid of too much, but I am afraid of not being able to breathe, and I'm a little bit claustrophobic. I'm not fond of elevators. I mean, I take them if I have to. If I don't have to take an elevator, I won't take the elevator. I've been stuck in an elevator too. That wasn't fun. When I die, I'm donating my body. What they can use, I don't know. But I just feel that if it helped one person, if they could use one little part of me and help one person, that's all I care about. Don't want to be buried. So I'm donating my body. As far as what I always wanted to be, I always wanted to be a writer, a famous writer, comedy writer, and designer too. I always was very big into designing, but I wound up in finance because it paid more money. I've always been concerned about money. I'm very good at math. I was honor student in math, and I look at things mathematically. I even enjoy movies that concentrate on math. More so than English or literature. I've always been a math person. I played the trombone in high school. I was in a high school band. I played the trombone. I don't have my trombone anymore. I do play the piano. I tried to play guitar, but I wasn't really that good at it. I'm a Capricorn. Like I said, I was born January 8th, 10 months after my parents got married. 2 weeks after Christmas. I was really due on Christmas, but it was 10 days. No, it was 2 weeks late. Yes. I shared a birthday with Elvis Presley. Stephen, I'm trying to think, there's two other people. David Bowie and Stephen, who's the scientist? Now I can't remember his name. He died a couple of years ago. So, I always celebrate a whole month, I say. A month for Christmas, a month for a month. A week for Christmas, a week for New Year's, and 2 weeks for my birthday. I believe in celebrating your birthday. Not everybody does. Age doesn't bother me. I feel I've survived another year. And I collect yarn and pens. I've always been fascinated by different pens. And one thing I hate bras. Thank goodness I'm not big-breasted, but I hate them. I really do. If I could go without them, I would. But I've never found one that's been really comfortable. So the phone didn't die out on me this time. So I'm going to tag Trish from the Purple Yarnivore. And that's about it. Let me get this up there. I'll try to link this pattern. And that's about it. Okay, take care.